Hillel's wife and the poor man. The kitchen in Hillel Hazaken's home was buzzing with activity. Fresh bread was baking in the oven, and several pots of delicious food were bubbling on the stove. Hillel's wife was very busy today. Her husband had invited someone to eat at their home, and she was preparing a tasty meal. Hillel was talking to his guest at the table, while his wife was already ladling the food onto the plate in the kitchen. She was getting ready to serve the meal that she had worked lovingly for many hours to prepare. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Who could it be? Hillel's wife opened the door. There stood a poor man who seemed to be starving and exhausted. "My good woman," he said, "I'm very hungry and have nothing to eat. Can you please help me?" "Of course," answered Hillel's wife. She rushed into the kitchen and packed up the freshly baked bread together with the rest of the perfectly cooked meal. She carried all of it to the door and handed it over to the poor man, whose face lit up with joy. "Thank you so much," he exclaimed. Hillel's wife returned to the kitchen now. She had nothing to serve her husband and his guest. She would have to start all over again. First, she would need to bake more bread. She took out a large bowl and spoon, flour, yeast, and salt. She mixed a fresh dough and covered it with a cloth so it would rise. In the meantime, she started cooking another dish. Her husband and his guest waited patiently for a few hours. Finally, after a very long time, the new meal was ready. Hillel's wife prepared the plates of food and brought them out to the table. By now, it was very late. After the guest had left, Hillel said to his wife, "Please tell me, why did it take so long for you to serve us our meal?" His wife answered, "Just when I had the whole meal ready, a poor man knocked on the door. I gave him everything. Then I had to prepare a new meal from the beginning." "You did the right thing," Hillel declared. "I am proud of you. Even though we had waited a long time, I did not think for a moment that you were slow or lazy. You always try to do mitzvahs. I knew that you were late for a good reason. Now I see I was right." We can learn important things from Hillel. First of all, he was dan lechavschos. He did not think anything bad about his wife, although he had to wait a long time for his meal. Further, he praised her for having shared the food with the poor man. His family would now be encouraged to always help poor people. They would know that it's the right thing to do. They would never be afraid of giving away what belonged to them.